Formula One is heading toward its biggest reset in a generation. New power units, new aero philosophy, and a reshuffled competitive order in 2026. Teams are supposed to be spending the next 12 months obsessing over wind tunnels and simulation tools. But instead, the paddock is whispering about something far more disruptive: a last-place team suddenly being valued like a future champion. Because Alpine finished dead last. No momentum, no engine program, no obvious on-track justification. And yet, behind closed doors, investors are reportedly circling at a valuation north of £600 million. Not for results, not for trophies, for something, or rather someone, who could redefine Alpine's future the moment the 2026 lights go out. If you want to understand why Alpine has become one of the most expensive assets in Formula One, why Christian Horner's name is at the centre of it all, and why this could quietly reshape the balance of power on the 2026 grid, make sure you subscribe now. This is not just news, it's a power shift in slow motion. Let's start with the contradiction that makes this story impossible to ignore. Alpine finished last in the Constructors' Championship. 22 points across an entire season. No podiums, no headline performances. Their factory engine project was shut down, and for 2026 they will line up as a Mercedes customer team. An admission that the Renault Works experiment, at least in its previous form, failed. On pure sporting logic, this is a team in decline. And yet, Alpine has suddenly become one of the most expensive assets in Formula One. Otro Capital, which owns 24% of the team, is reportedly ready to sell at a valuation exceeding £600 million, with some estimates pushing towards £700 million. That number alone should raise alarms. Nothing on track explains it. The car wasn't competitive. The driver lineup delivered minimal returns. Even Pierre Gasly, Alpine's most reliable performer, managed just 5 top 10 finishes. Franco Colapinto and Jack Doohan failed to score at all. So what are investors actually buying? The answer lies entirely off track, and it begins with Christian Horner. Horner's exit from Red Bull in July 2025 was not a normal management reshuffle. He had been in charge since 2005. Under his leadership, Red Bull transformed from a struggling former Jaguar operation into a dynasty. 8 drivers' championships, 6 constructors' titles, and, arguably, the most efficient technical structure Formula One has ever seen. Removing him wasn't just symbolic, it created a power vacuum. The €60 million severance package revealed just how valuable Horner truly was. His reported salary sat around €12 million per year, with a contract running until 2030. Red Bull effectively paid out the remaining 5 years in full, but the payout came with a critical condition. Horner would remain barred from the Formula One paddock until the end of April 2026. That restriction wasn't punishment, it was protection. Red Bull didn't want its former team principal carrying sensitive operational knowledge straight into a rival camp. But the timing of the ban is revealing. Horner isn't blocked from the new era. He's simply delayed until the early phase of the 2026 season has settled. And that tells us something important. Horner was never interested in a rushed return. The 2026 regulations represent a hard reset. New power units, new aero philosophy, new performance ceilings. For someone like Horner, this is the perfect re-entry point. But there was one condition he reportedly made clear behind the scenes. He would only come back as an owner, not an employee. For years, Horner watched Toto Wolff operate with freedoms he never fully enjoyed at Red Bull. Wolff is not just Mercedes team principal, he's also CEO and a major shareholder. That ownership stake removes layers of corporate interference and aligns long-term sporting decisions with personal financial incentive. It is the ultimate version of control in modern Formula One. Horner wants the same model. This is where Alpine suddenly becomes relevant. Despite their collapse on track, Alpine's ownership structure makes them uniquely attractive. Renault Group still holds 76%, but Otto Capital's 24% stake carries real influence. That stake was acquired in 2023 for roughly £175 million by an investor group that includes Anthony Joshua, Rory McIlroy, and Ryan Reynolds. Just 2 years later, they are reportedly prepared to sell at nearly 4 times that valuation. Multiple reports suggest that Horner is leading a group of investors in advanced talks to acquire that stake. When questioned directly by The Telegraph, Horner didn't deny negotiations. He simply declined to comment. In Formula One, that silence often confirms more than a press release ever could. This is why the valuation suddenly makes sense. Investors are not pricing Alpine as it is today. They are pricing Alpine as a platform for Christian Horner's return to power. If the deal goes through, the consequences inside Alpine would be immediate. The current leadership structure is already fragmented. Steve Nielsen holds the team principal title, but Flavio Briatore, reinstalled as a special advisor by Luca De Meo, wields significant behind-the-scenes authority. That ambiguity is precisely what Horner does not tolerate. At Red Bull, power was centralized. Decisions were fast. Responsibility was clear. Horner does not operate within shared leadership models. If he arrives as a shareholder with board influence, Nielsen's position becomes vulnerable, and Briatore's advisory role becomes redundant. There is historical precedent for this transformation. In 2005, Horner took over Jaguar Racing, a team mired in inefficiency, poor results, and internal confusion. 5 years later, that same organization was winning world championships. The pattern is unmistakable. Horner doesn't stabilize teams, he rebuilds them from the inside out. Now, place that blueprint alongside the 2026 regulation reset. Customer engines flatten performance gaps. Aero rules reset development curves. In such an environment, leadership quality becomes the single most valuable asset. Alpine doesn't need short-term results. It needs direction, authority, and patience. That is what investors are paying for. The expected timeline reinforces this theory. The Otto Capital sale is rumoured to conclude in the first quarter of the year. Horner's paddock ban lifts after round 5 of the 2026 season. That gives him a clean, legally safe entry point, just as early competitive trends from the new regulations begin to emerge. If Horner secures equity, Formula One gains another owner-operator alongside Toto Wolff and Lawrence Stroll. That changes not only the competitive order, but the political balance of the grid. So when you hear £700 million, don't think of last place. Think of leverage. Think of control. Think of the price required to put Christian Horner back at the centre of Formula One, exactly when the sport is rewriting its future. So here's the real question. Is £700 million the price of a last-place team? Or is it the price of putting Christian Horner back at the centre of Formula One's power structure just in time for the 2026 reset? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss any of our latest videos.